The waiter poured the wine. It was a Chateau Margaux, 1996. $500 a bottle. It tasted like ink and money. I looked across the candlelit table at my wife, Jessica. We were sitting in the private booth at Le Chateau, the most exclusive restaurant in the city. It was quiet, private, perfect for a celebration. Happy anniversary, darling, I said, raising my glass. 10 years. Jessica didn't pick up her glass. She didn't smile. She was wearing a diamond necklace I had bought her for our 5th anniversary, and a red dress that cost more than my first car. She looked beautiful, and she looked like an executioner. She folded her hands on the white tablecloth, took a deep breath, and looked me dead in the eye. Happy anniversary, Tom, she said. Her voice was steady, rehearsed. I want a divorce. I didn't blink. I didn't choke on my wine. I just set the glass down gently. A divorce? On our anniversary? Yes, she said. A small, smug smile tugged at the corner of her lips. And before you try to argue, or try to offer me counseling, you should know that I've already spoken to a lawyer. We passed the 10-year mark at midnight last night. She leaned forward, her eyes gleaming with greed. I know the prenup, Tom. I know about the sunset clause. It expires at 10 years. That means as of today, I am entitled to 50% of everything. The house, the cars, the investment accounts. She paused, savoring the moment. And 50% of Titan HVAC. She sat back, looking like a queen who had just conquered a kingdom. She thought she had won the lottery. She thought she had timed it perfectly, down to the minute. She didn't know that I had the original contract in the inside pocket of my blazer. She didn't know that she had misremembered a single, crucial digit. And she definitely didn't know that for the last 6 months, I hadn't been planning a celebration. I had been planning a demolition. I'm not a flashy man. I drive a pickup truck to work. I wear work boots. I built Titan HVAC from a single van and a toolbox into the largest commercial heating and cooling contractor in the tri-state area. We handle skyscrapers, hospitals, data centers. My hands are rough. My back hurts when it rains. I earned every single cent in my bank account through sweat, grit, and 18-hour days. Jessica was different. I met her 12 years ago at a charity gala. I was a sponsor. She was a model hired to stand by the silent auction tables and look pretty. She was breathtaking, tall, blonde, with a laugh that made you feel like the funniest man in the room. I was 40. She was 26. I knew the cliché. The older, wealthy business owner and the young, beautiful model. My friends warned me. Be careful, Tom, they said. She likes the lifestyle, not the man. But I fell for her. She seemed genuine. She asked about my work. She seemed to care. When I proposed 2 years later, I had one condition. I had seen too many good men ruined by divorce. I had seen businesses torn apart, employees fired, and legacies destroyed because a marriage went south. I need a prenup, Jess, I told her one night over dinner. She cried. Huge, alligator tears. You don't trust me, she sobbed. You think I'm a gold digger. This isn't romantic, Tom. It's not about romance, I said, holding her hand. It's about insurance. It protects the business. It protects the 300 families who rely on me for a paycheck. If we stay together, you'll never even see it. She pouted for a week, but eventually, she agreed. We went to my lawyer's office 3 weeks before the wedding. I remember that day clearly. My lawyer, a shark named Harrison, slid the 40-page document across the mahogany desk. Read it carefully, Jessica, Harrison said. Take it to your own counsel if you wish. Jessica didn't take it to a lawyer. She flipped through the pages rapidly, her eyes glazing over at the legal jargon. She was too focused on the wedding venue, the flowers, the guest list. She just wanted to sign it and get to the happily ever after, or rather, the wealthy ever after. She signed the last page with a flourish. There, she said, tossing the pen down. Are you happy now? For the first 5 years, things were good. Or at least, I thought they were. I worked. She spent. I built the business. She decorated the house. She was the perfect hostess for my corporate dinners. But as time went on, the drift began. Titan HVAC exploded in value. We landed a massive government contract. The company valuation went from 10 million to 50 million almost overnight. That was when Jessica changed. The we became very prominent. We made so much money this year. We should buy a vacation home in Aspen. We deserve a new boat. She stopped asking how my day was. She only asked if the check cleared. She started taking trips. Girls' trips, she called them. A week in Miami. 10 days in Paris. 2 weeks in Dubai. She would come back tan, distracted, and cold. "You work too much, Tom," she would say, scrolling through her phone. "You're boring. You're always tired." "I'm tired because I'm building the life you enjoy living," I'd remind her. She would just roll her eyes. "Whatever. Just make sure the credit card limit is raised for next month." I felt the distance growing. I felt the coldness in her bed. But I never suspected the depth of her calculation until 6 months ago. It started with a notification. We shared a cloud plan for our phones, mostly for photo storage. I was looking for an old picture of a job site on my iPad one evening when a new folder synced. It wasn't a job site. It was a selfie. It was Jessica in a hotel room I didn't recognize. She was wearing a bathrobe, and in the background, reflected in the mirror, was a man. He was young, maybe 25, muscular, fit. He was looking at her the way I used to look at her. My heart hammered against my ribs. I felt that cold, sick feeling in my stomach that every betrayed spouse knows. I didn't scream. I didn't throw the iPad. I'm a businessman. When I find a structural fault in a building, I don't panic. I investigate. I assess the damage. I formulate a plan. I called Harrison, my lawyer. "I need a PI," I said. "The best one you have. And I need him tonight." Harrison referred me to a man named Miller. Miller was an ex-detective who charged $500 an hour and was worth every penny. I met Miller in a diner on the edge of town. I showed him the photo. "Find out who he is," I said. "Find out how long. Find out everything." Miller went to work. For 2 weeks, I lived a double life. I went home to Jessica every night, ate the dinner she ordered in, and asked about her day. I kissed her goodnight. I slept next to the woman who was stabbing me in the back. It was torture. Every smile she gave me felt like a lie. Every time she looked at her phone and giggled, I wanted to vomit. Then, Miller came back with a dossier. We sat in his car in a parking lot. He handed me a thick manila envelope. "His name is Ryan," Miller said, lighting a cigarette. "He's a personal trainer at the gym your wife goes to. 26 years old. Failed actor. Lots of debt." I flipped through the photos. Jessica and Ryan at dinner. Jessica and Ryan holding hands in the park. Jessica and Ryan entering the Four Seasons. "They've been at it for 8 months, Miller said. "But here's the kicker, Tom. I got audio." He pulled out a small digital recorder. "She was loud at the cafe yesterday. My guy was at the next table." He pressed play. Jessica's voice, clear as day, cut through the static. "I know, baby. I know you're tired of waiting. But we have to wait. It's only 6 more months." Ryan's voice, "Why? Why can't you just leave him now? You said he's boring. You said you hate him." Jessica, "Because of the prenup, you idiot. The sunset clause. If I leave him now, I get a capped settlement. A few $100,000. It's peanuts. But if I wait until the 10-year anniversary, the prenup expires. It voids out. I get half. Half the business, half the accounts, half the real estate." She laughed. A cruel, calculating laugh. "Just be patient, Ryan. 6 more months, and we'll be worth $25 million. We can go anywhere. We can do anything. Just let me play the loving wife for a little longer." I stopped the tape. I sat there in the silence of the car, staring at the dashboard. She wasn't just cheating. She was counting down the days. She was treating our marriage like a prison sentence, and my bank account like her parole hearing. "You want me to confront her?" Miller asked. "No," I said. My voice was calm, dangerously calm. "She wants to wait for the anniversary? Fine. We'll give her the anniversary she deserves." I paid Miller. I took the evidence. And I went back to work. For 6 months, I was the perfect husband. I bought her flowers. I took her to shows. I listened to her talk about her friends. I watched her mark the days off on the kitchen calendar with a little red pen. She thought she was fooling me. She thought I was the dumb, blue-collar husband who was lucky to have her. I let her think that. I let her arrogance grow. I let her inflate her ego until it was ready to burst. I met with Harrison secretly. We reviewed the prenup. We prepared the trap. Are you sure you want to do it this way? Harrison asked me. We could just serve her papers now. No, I said. She wants to make a scene on the anniversary. She wants the big reveal. I'm going to give it to her. The drive to Le Chateau was quiet. Jessica was texting the whole way. Probably texting Ryan. Asterisk, almost there. Free soon. Asterisk. I drove the Mercedes. I opened her door. I played the part. We sat down. We ordered. And then, she dropped the hammer. I want a divorce. Let's go back to that moment. She was leaning back, swirling her wine. The waiter had retreated. The air was thick with tension. You see, Tom, she continued, her voice dripping with condescension. I've been very unhappy for a long time. You're married to your work. You neglect me emotionally. Is that so? I asked. I neglect you? Is that why you spent 3 weeks in St. Bart's last month on my credit card? That was coping, she snapped. I was coping with the loneliness. And the 10-year mark. I asked. That was just a coincidence. She smirked. It's not a coincidence. It's business. You taught me that, didn't you? Always read the contract. The prenup had a 10-year expiration. We made it. I earned my share. I put in my time. You put in your time, I repeated, like it was a shift at a factory. Being married to you was work, she spat. But now it pays off. I want a house. I want a lake house. I want half of the brokerage accounts. And I want a forensic accountant to value Titan HVAC, because I'm taking my half of that in cash. She took a sip of wine. And I'm keeping the Mercedes. I looked at her. Really looked at her. I looked for the woman I married 10 years ago. She was gone. Consumed by greed. Is there someone else? I asked softly. She hesitated for a split second. Then, she shrugged. She figured she had already won. Why lie now? California is a no-fault divorce state. Adultery doesn't usually impact asset division unless money was spent on the affair. And she thought the prenup was dead anyway. Yes, she said. His name is Ryan. He's vibrant. He makes me feel alive. He's everything you're not. And you're planning to use my money to fund your life with him? It's our money, Tom, she corrected. Legally. As of midnight. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone. I placed it on the table, screen up. The voice memo app was running. The red waveform was pulsing. You recorded this? She asked, her eyes narrowing. Just the last part, I lied. The part where you admitted to the affair. And the part where you admitted you only stayed for the money. She laughed. It doesn't matter. The prenup is gone. It expired. You can record whatever you want. The law is the law. 10 years, Tom. That was the deal. You're right, Jessica, I said, reaching into my other pocket. The law is the law. And the deal is the deal. I pulled out the folded document. It was yellowed with age. The original prenuptial agreement from 10 years ago. But there's one problem, I said, unfolding it on the table, pushing aside the candle. You didn't read it, did you? You just signed it. I know what it said, she hissed. No, I said. You know what you thought it said. I put on my reading glasses. The silence at the table was heavy. You are referring to the vesting schedule, I said, my voice projecting just enough for the tables nearby to glance over. Most standard prenups do have a 10-year sunset clause. It's common. I ran my finger down the page. However, I continued. I had Harrison make some custom adjustments because I had a business to protect. I turned the page. Clause 4, Section B. I read aloud. The vesting period for the division of marital assets, including but not limited to business equity and real estate acquired prior to the marriage, shall initiate at the completion of the 15th year of marriage. Jessica froze. Her glass stopped halfway to her mouth. 15, she whispered. 15, I said. Not 10. You're 5 years early, Jessica. She grabbed the paper. She clawed at it, her manicured nails tearing the edge. She read the line. Her eyes widened. Her face went from smug pink to a ghostly, sickly white. No, she stammered. No, this is a fake. You changed it. That is the copy you signed, I said. See your initials? Right there. JM. She started to shake. But, But my friend said it was 10. Everyone knows it's 10. Your friend isn't a lawyer, I said. And neither are you. Well, fine, she shrieked, her voice rising an octave. So I don't get half the business yet. I still get alimony. I still get spousal support. We've been married 10 years. The court will give me massive support payments to maintain my lifestyle. I shook my head slowly. You really should have read the whole thing, Jessica. I turned to page 32. Clause 9, Section C, I said. The Fidelity Clause. Her breath hitched. Let me read it to you, I said coldly. Regardless of a vesting period, should either party be found to have engaged in extramarital affairs, proven by a preponderance of evidence. I tapped the phone recording on the table. Then all rights to spousal support, alimony, and any claim to marital assets are immediately null and void. The offending party shall leave the marriage with only the assets they possessed prior to the union. I looked up at her. You admitted to the affair, Jessica. On tape. I have photos from a private investigator. I have the credit card receipts for your little hotels. I leaned in closer. You just voided your own golden parachute. She stared at me. Her mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. The reality was crashing down on her, like a collapsing building. So, she whispered, tears of panic welling up in her eyes. What do I get? You get what you had when you met me, I said. Your clothes, your jewelry, and your car. The Mercedes? She asked, a glimmer of hope. No, I said. The Honda Civic you drove in 2012. I kept it in storage. It still runs. She looked around the restaurant. People were staring. She realized the trap had snapped shut. You can't do this to me, she cried. I'm your wife. I gave you the best years of my life. No, I said, standing up and buttoning my blazer. You sold me the best years of your life. And you just breached the contract. I threw $100 bill on the table for the wine. Happy anniversary, Jessica. You'll be hearing from Harrison in the morning. I've already had the locks changed at the house. Your things, the ones you're allowed to keep, are in boxes in the driveway. I turned to walk away. Tom, she screamed. Tom, wait. We can work this out. I'll break up with Ryan. I love you. I didn't turn back. I walked out of Le Chateau into the cool night air, and I took the deepest, cleanest breath of my life. The divorce was fast, brutally fast. Jessica tried to fight it. She hired a lawyer who took a look at the prenup, heard the audio recording, saw the PI's photos, and told her to settle. There was no wiggle room. The contract was ironclad. The judge upheld every single clause. Because of the Fidelity Clause, she didn't get a dime of alimony. Not 1 cent. The judge actually scolded her in court for wasting his time. And Ryan? The vibrant personal trainer? The moment he found out the money was gone, that there was no $25 million, no mansion, no sugar mama, he vanished. He broke up with her via text message 3 days after I filed. Last I heard, Jessica is living in a studio apartment on the bad side of town. She's working as a receptionist at a dental office. She tried to reach out to me a few months ago. She sent a long email about forgiveness and starting over. I didn't reply. I forwarded it to my spam folder. Titan HVAC is doing better than ever. We just opened a new branch in the city. I'm dating again, too. A woman named Sarah. She's a school teacher. She drives a Ford. She doesn't care about my money. She cares about me. Sometimes, late at night, I think about that dinner. I think about the look on Jessica's face when I read Clause 4, Section B. It was the best business deal I ever made. She gambled 10 years of her life on a contract she didn't read. She bet against the house. And the house always wins.